Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to kind of pick up on a game where I left off a little bit ago and go through and play the game with you guys so we can kind of take a look at what it's all about. Now, one of the things that has always kind of bothered me about first impressions is simply that oftentimes I find that people are playing a first impressions an hour, 2, 3 hours into the game, and they kind of have given themselves a little bit of time to actually think of what it is they really want to say about the game. And I had always thought that was a little bit disingenuous, primarily because I was thinking, hey, look, you're not really giving me your first impressions of it, are you? You're giving me a little bit of a first impression, but you're also kind of giving me a well thought out and complicated idea of what the game is, and you don't really get to see someone's initial reactions to a lot of the stupidity and screwed up things that go on in a game, and kind of really get the wow, hey, look, that's really, really bad, or hey, that's really good, and you don't get that wow factor with that. That said, I sort of come to understand why. So, this game is Deathspank. Probably the most stupidly titled game that I have in my entire library. It's something that I've never really played before tonight, and I figured, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go give a completely new and real first impression, as in, i.e., I will let you guys know exactly what I think from the beginning, and I find that I'm a little bit too distracted by some of the silliness and the fluff that comes out with it when I first start playing it. So I do actually, honestly, I begin to understand why people do that. People go through and play the game just long enough to actually sort of get an idea of what's going on, and are able to come up with their own ideas of what's going on before they actually, kind of sit down with you and talk about it. So basically what this game is all about, it is one of the most childish, stupid, silly games that I have ever seen, and it's done intentionally so. Frankly, my first impression of it was like, oh god, is this really that bad? And I sat back and laughed for 15 minutes, and I tried to record it. And I realized after listening to it that it was really kind of bad, as most of what you heard was not me playing the game. It was simply me laughing at the stupid jokes and what goes on inside this game, which kind of, it doesn't really allow you to get my impression of the game. It allows you to figure out, hey, look, this is what happens when you first start the game. It's really stupid. So that said, I am beginning to understand why people do it the way they do it. So kind of what I wanted to do is I've been playing around with games for a while, and giving there's been specific games that I've played primarily have been mech first-person shooters. Now, that was never actually really my intent, was to just get solely into one kind of game. I figured that I would, kind of go through and play for a while and get a feel for what I needed to do to kind of figure out my own style and particular passion, and then go through and start doing reviews and first impressions and stuff like that. And I've found that it's actually a little bit difficult to get away from the game that I started with, and a little bit difficult to get away from my comfort zone. And I'm beginning to understand that, hey, look, if I'm ever going to get away from that, I need to start doing it now. So this is, I figured I'd pick up a game that was completely goofy and silly and kind of easy to play, and I would go through and give you guys my impressions and my concept of the game, and I'd let you know what I thought about it. Now, let's see, where'd we go? I'm trying to equip this sword here. That is, who the hell knows what the word Kirkish means? I don't, neither do you. Well, that's fair enough. So, this game really is intentionally silly and goofy and completely off its rocker. If you're 12 years old or you have the sense of humor of a 12-year-old, you will probably like this game. If you don't like infantile, stupid, and or bathroom humor, it's probably really not for you. And honestly, what this game reminds me of a lot is some of the old PlayStation games that I used to play when I was a little younger. One that springs to mind immediately is actually medieval. It was a game about Sir Daniel Fortescue and his many adventures after having died. Yes, that was that game. This kind of reminds me of that in that you run around, you kill stuff, you grab some upgrades, you kind of figure out your character, and you go from there. And at the end of levels there, you were able to purchase upgrades. I think this one runs a little bit differently. But for the most part, it does have some similarities to games like that. Now, that's not going to be good for me because I'm probably going to wind up dead if I don't get away from these things. Wow, that's painful. Let's see if I can eat and actually get myself healed back up. Sorry about that. So running into level 5 monsters probably isn't my best idea right now. And that's actually one of the primary problems that I run into this game is that it's not exactly clear what you need to do to get your levels or to get to certain areas. Well, okay, getting levels is obviously easy, but that's blatantly obvious. You kill things until you level up. What's not clear is, or what's not specifically delineated, is areas that are harder or easier or what have you, and areas that are, sort of more your level or less your level from where you had been already. And that's actually the biggest problem I've run into in this game. My biggest thing isn't the technicality of a game. It's not how well it plays. It's how well it tells its story. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing is what kind of story does a game tell? And for me, what's important is how well does it tell the story? What does it tell?
Enemy attacks can be blocked with my mighty shield.
Yes, that would be this shield. Yes, I know how to do that. But thank you for telling me. And I am still in the very early stages of the game. I'm still trying to kind of figure out what's going on and what have you. So it is, it is very, very early gameplay. But still, I found that my initial reaction to the game was basically, dude, what the fuck? And kind of just sat there and laughed. Obviously not something that you want to hear me do or see me do was try to do an impressions or give you an idea of what I thought of the game while I'm basically speechless. I mean, obviously, I don't ever really run across times when I can't talk at all, but, I'm known for talking. But for the most part, it really was just me sitting there watching some cutscenes and kind of being goofy and being highly amused at all the situations that happened to our poor hero. So I figured I'd give it another shot. I'd actually try to, give it a few minutes and sort out what it was that I liked about the game, sort out what it was that was goofy about the game, and kind of give you my impressions of, is it something that you'll really like, or is it something that you'll just think is completely stupid and infantile, and something that you really don't want to play? So that is basically the concept of the game. It is a game about stupidity and being goofy. Do you like that kind of thing? If you don't, then this probably isn't the game for you. That said, it doesn't ever really feel like it's completely stupid or I mean, the combat and everything does feel like, it's fairly well thought out. It's simple, but it's not difficult. But there is at least a little bit of depth to it because you can. And one of the things that they do is every single different button you have has a different weapon that kind of has a different effect, and that's actually. I mean, again, it's not complicated, but it's not exactly the most simple of combat methods either. It's not high strike, low strike, or anything like that. You are able to change the kinds of damage that you do with each individual thing too, which obviously that's something that you need to be aware of is, can I change what I'm doing? And the answer to that is yes. You can absolutely change which buttons do what. So it doesn't really become entirely, I mean, you can rebind all the characters, I believe, or all the buttons, I believe, but the final result isn't so much in the rebinding, but it is in how you set up your own weapons in your own game. and that's kind of going to be important to you. It does come with a default setting, which seems to work fine for me. Honestly, frankly, I don't remember which button does what until I start pressing buttons to see what swings. So, that, it just kind of, hey, look, I'll eventually get used to what they have. I don't really care. I'm not going to change it around and try to screw things up. So, it has, it's a fairly basic gameplay mechanism. The concept behind it is still simple, but it's not funny or good because of the complexities in it. There are some games that are really, really deep in their complexities and how they play and everything else, and this isn't one of them. Those games take one thing and they do it very well. They make the combat really deep and satisfying, and it teaches you how to fight, and it does all these things really, really well. You know what this game does well? This game does stupidity well. I don't very often see, especially not in silly, kind of indie titles, I don't often see the options to respond to quest requests in your own particular way. Generally speaking, I pick the dumbest and stupidest and silliest thing that I can possibly think of when I choose one particular quest, when I choose a response to a particular quest. But that doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, obviously, you can make your character more intelligent or less intelligent just by the options that you give him. So it's not really about the character's choices, it's about how silly or goofy you really want to be. Though, that said, there are a lot of silliness options simply flat out. I mean, there's times when you run into 4 or 5 or 10 different options that are all completely silly and stupid. That's gonna be part of the game. It is goofy, it is humor, it's a 12-year-old boy waiting to just have fun and screw around with whatever it is that he sees. Now, if you don't like that kind of thing, this really probably isn't going to be the game for you. If you do like that kind of thing, this does seem like it's, honestly, it made me chuckle. There's a lot of times when just the stupidest things, like, okay, so your save points are these little outhouses, and in fact, you get told that you can teleport from one outhouse to another, and you really don't want to know how. That's a basic instance and basic concept of how and why this thing is silly and stupid. Is it something that everybody's going to think is hysterical? Probably not. Is it something that some people are going to be amused by? Most definitely. And that's going to kind of be your option. Is that the kind of humor or the kind of thing that you really want to do? Now, you do get level ups, and those give you these options of which particular statistics you can choose. Rise all like the undead. Deathspank just put you back down again. Health. Rise all you like undead. Oh, okay, there we go. Sorry, health damage and blocking time have increased, so you get all that. Plus, you get to choose a gift. Your block lasts longer. You can use armor and weapons one level higher. Ooh, that actually sounds pretty good. I'm gonna go with that. And I'm not left button previous. So, it doesn't seem completely obvious as to whether or not these cards overrule the other ones. There was a different card that I had from before. Kind of hard for me to tell. Unimportant things I need to do. That's your quest list. That's actually, yeah. Vicious chicken lips. I went and killed chickens and collected their lips. Again, one of the dumbest things I have ever seen, but it made me laugh. It made me chuckle. And then that's kind of the thing. And I think I've kind of talked about that enough, obviously. Obviously, if you like that kind of thing, you're going to like this game. If you don't, you're probably really just going to hate it. And that's the question. Is this the game for you? Don't know. You're going to find out fairly quickly if this is the kind of thing that you want to play around with. Drives my enemies into the ground, deals 250 physical. I want it. Chicken cannon. Really? It's only 10 uses. So, health plus 10. Obviously, I want to replace that. Grind your previously equipped item. Yes, actually, that's fine. Simple sword, I'm going to grind the simple sword. There is actually a meat grinder which will take your old gear, turn it into something useful. Heck from Heaven, the Saintly Burning 5. I have no idea what these are. I'm assuming these are some kind of spell. Gloves of Friendly Intent. Grind your... yeah, that's fine. Kick-Ass Fire Axe, 67 plus 82 is not as much as 250 physical. Just flat out isn't. I don't know if the fire does... oh... I don't know if the fire does over damage over time. Those are shoulders. No wonder. There we go. Yes. So, I mean, that's kind of the thing. It's obvious that a lot of thought has actually been put into this. I'm going to switch that out for my other cannon just for fun. And I think we will go ahead and take a look at that here in a minute and figure out, is that something we are highly amused by? I am obviously... oh, wow, conjured chickens. So, my chickens follow me around. I have the Destroyer of Chickens achievement. My chickens have destroyed chickens and have given me Destroyer of Chickens achievement. These are all the level 1 guys that we kind of killed earlier, but I'm just kind of wandering around doing things just because it amuses me. So, the game isn't terribly deep or terribly complex. I have not had the opportunity to purchase items, and that's kind of been one of the things, is I haven't found a vendor yet. So, I mean, we kind of have the idea of how basic items work and everything at this point. What I don't know is, are there skills or anything? It does seem to me like there's a lot of options, at least as far as certain weapons. This one just does a lot of damage right now, but there are other versions of the hammer that I've seen that do ice damage and stun people or slow people or, different things. So it does look like some of your skills kind of come in that direction. Also, there's a lost and found. If you don't... the
lost and found is...
shut up. If you forget that something is there, or rather, if you forget to pick something up as you wander around in this universe, one of the things that you can do is go back to the lost and found, and that will give you an item, or that will give you the items that you forgot to pick up. So that's going to kind of be, one of the things that's actually really kind of convenient. It's like running around in Diablo, and hey, look, there was some really good items, or there was really good items that I forgot or missed or picked up. I mean, obviously they've changed things there, so it makes it a little bit easier to tell. But every now and then you might run right by something and not realize it if it's been too long since it dropped and you didn't see it. This gives you that ability to go, hey, look, I'm going to go check the lost and found and see what happened. That'll let me know, hey, did I in fact quite forget? That's convenience. That is quality of life right there. So again, it does seem like the quests in the game and everything have been thought out well enough to kind of give you an idea of what you really need to do and kind of tell you about the game, and they keep you immersed in this goofy and completely insane and zany world. And that's kind of, that really is kind of the basics of it. It's, you run around, you hack and slash. It's a very simple game. It's not, don't expect it the deepest or the most thoughtful game as far as, do you have really rich and in-depth quests? But you are going to find that there's lots of stupid and silly humor that kind of tells you, this game isn't afraid to take itself kind of not seriously. And it's not afraid to be completely goofy and outrageous and have fun. And that's what, every now and then that's what I like to have in a game. And this game definitely allows you to have that fun without ever really seeming like it's too terrible. I mean, obviously, I haven't gotten really far in the game. This is, I'm still level 4, so I'm pretty early in the game. And there is actually a sequel. I don't know anything about that. I haven't played that any more than I have played this. I was going to kind of wait until I played this and actually finished it before I really considered taking a sequel on. So, at this point, I'm going to say, depending on this game, I don't know what the price is right now, but if it were like $10, maybe even $15 or less, just for the complete and stupid chuckles and laughs that you get out of it, it's probably worth it. And I'm assuming this game is fairly long. I would figure probably 8 to 10 hours. Although I'm not 100% certain on that. So that is going to depend. Obviously, there's options. Generally speaking, what I do is I wait for Steam sales for a lot of games and wind up being able to find the best deal available. But sometimes, if you want to play something like this is definitely something I would say, it's worth giving a shot. If you do see it available at a price you think is reasonable, I would suggest, go ahead and buy it. But again, if you don't like outhouse humor, poop humor, stupid, just completely insane and inane stupidity, then you know what? Hang up your hat and find something else. Anyway, this has been me playing through Deathspank. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Talk to you later.